On today's show, Laura Haywood interviews
the stunning leading lady of Hadestown, Eva Noblezada. Welcome to Laura Haywood Interviews. I'm Laura Haywood, and it is rare that an actress bursts onto the Broadway scene with as much power and relevance as my guest today. Making her debut at age 21 in Miss Saigon, she received a Tony Award nomination as Best Leading Actress in a Musical, an honor that would be repeated just 2 seasons later for her current project. That project is one of the most stunning works I have ever seen in my entire life. And this is quite a statement because I go to the theater about 5 nights a week, and I have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of shows on and off Broadway. I'm talking, of course, about Hadestown, the Tony Award-winning Best Musical of this last season. Eva Noblezada plays Eurydice, who is open-hearted and self-reliant, vulnerable and tough, strong and wise, and literally eternally hopeful. Knowing the actress a little bit off stage, I describe the same attributes to the woman sitting across from me right now. Here to talk about Hadestown and her upcoming dates at the Green Room 42. Please join me in welcoming to Laura Haywood Interviews Broadway star Eva Noblezada. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Okay, there's a lot to talk about. And I think we should start with the Green Room 42 shows.
Great.
Because you've got several dates coming up, and it sounds like they're all going to be different, and they're all going to kind of be surprises.
They are very much different. My last one I did, it was an Amy Winehouse tribute one. So all 75 minutes were Amy Winehouse songs.
Mm-hmm.
The next one I think is going to be like a witchy Halloween one because it's like 3 days before Halloween.
Yeah. So the greenroom42.com is the website, but also if people go to your Instagram page, it's the link in your bio.
Yes.
Actually, though, as we're talking, I'm clicking on that link and it's giving me an error message. So you may want to check that.
Oh, I will check that.
But
I know one of the dates are wrong. They're soon to be changed.
Okay, got it. Well, if you do go to the greenroom42.com, you can find all of their lineup, including not just your shows, but also your co-star Reeve Carney is doing some shows. And this venue is really fantastic. In fact,
it's amazing.
I've seen you perform there before, and I've seen Reeve there. And I go probably like twice a week. It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love the most about it is that the minimum ticket price is really affordable.
Really low.
It's like in the $20.
Yeah, so everyone can afford to come. So
yeah,
it's
and
nice.
then they don't have food and drink minimums.
Yeah.
So it really is, if you're buying a $22 ticket, it's a $22 ticket.
I do love that. That's one of my favorite things about the space.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you do have, the dates that are on the calendar right now are October 13th and October 27th.
It should be October 27th and November 11th.
Okay. Great. So October 27th is going to be the Halloween one. Okay, yeah. November 11th is
because
on
I
here
booked
too.
the 13th of October and then realized that Hadestown had an extra show that day.
Oh no!
And I can't be in 2 places at once.
Okay, got it. So October 27th, Halloween theme, probably witchy, and then November 11th, which is my favorite day of the year, it's 11/11.
I know.
Yeah.
That's one of my lucky numbers. I have no idea what I'm going to do.
I feel like if we're brainstorming, which you did not invite me to do, but I feel like something to do with like luck and omens and
That's a good one.
because I do think a lot of people think of 11/11.
I do love 11/11.
As a lucky day.
I agree.
So I'm fascinated by the fact that you did an Amy Winehouse show, and I wish I could have been there because I know last time I talked to you, you were working on an album of solo material that you described as if somebody in Amy Winehouse had a baby.
Jessie Ware.
Yeah, Jessie Ware, who I'm not that familiar with.
Everyone should be familiar with Jessie Ware. She's incredible. She's one of my favorite singers.
And so are you still working on that album?
I had to put a little bit on the back foot because I was off the show for 2 weeks and couldn't do any extra projects outside of Hadestown because of like vocal issues, aka stress. Stress does it to you. And also I moved, so that took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it's back on. I'm doing everything myself, so like having to literally start from scratch, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, cool. But that's still in your heart.
Oh my God,
you still
absolutely.
want to do it. I love that you're doing things that aren't necessarily just show tunes.
I don't like show tunes.
Ah,
I really don't. Like, I don't want to sing like that stuff all the time.
Right.
It drives me crazy.
I mean, I assume that Hadestown is an exception.
Well, Hadestown, I don't feel like they don't have show tunes.
Yeah, it's like gorgeous, folky.
Yeah. It's not Broadway.
Uh-huh. You're not singing like, give my regards to
No,
Broadway.
it's not Hello Dolly, if you know what I mean.
Right. Although there are so many classic roles I'd love to see you in.
It would
someday.
be fun. Maybe one day.
Yeah. How is moving? I feel like you're when you move to your second place in New York, you're a New Yorker.
Yeah, I agree. So this is technically my third.
Okay. So you were.
Yeah,
you
I'm
already
a proper
were.
New Yorker. It's amazing. I just wanted a new space. My old space was definitely a little haunted. Mm-hmm. Which, by many things, energies, but also I think genuinely haunted.
Really?
Yeah. By I remember being in bed one night because my bed's on the floor. And it was pretty big. It was too big for one person.
Okay.
So that's also the main reason why I moved. And when you open your eyes really quickly and you see black specks?
Uh-huh.
I saw one big black orby thing in the corner of my room. And I don't really get scared by things like that unless it has a face. So I kind of closed my eyes and reset my eyes, and then I looked at it again and it was still there. And it was very harrowing. I felt very, apparently if you feel heat, it's not good. If you feel cold, which I did, it's not anything to worry about. But I just said hello, and then I saged it again the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're a believer.
Oh my God. How can you not?
I don't know. I go back
Have
and
you
forth.
seen it? Have you seen anything?
I wouldn't say that I've seen anything. I've had experiences that feel like magic. I don't I have mixed feelings about my own spirituality, and I've gone through some spiritual crises.
Yeah.
I think that my general approach to life is to focus on the positive. And so I don't know that I've ever felt haunted by anything malevolent.
That's
but
good.
I have often felt like there were kind spirits around me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have this theory that I've been working on that I think someday will be an essay or a book or a TED Talk or something about how going to the theater as often as I do has actually prepared me to be both spiritual and an atheist, because I am so practiced at suspension of disbelief.
That's amazing.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up being Southern, Christian, Southern, it was Presbyterian, and then we went to non-denominational, and then, I don't go to church every Sunday like I should, like a good girl should, but mainly because I have work.
Right.
And I mean, I believe in a higher power if it's, the Bible was written by men.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I have a lot of theories. I believe that we're not the only ones here. And I believe that spaces and things that we put energy in, energy, I know everyone's talking about, oh my God, the energy in here is so deep, whatever. It's actually a lot more, I think, tangible than people think it is. Mm-hmm. If somebody can enter the room in a bad mood and change the energy in the room, people don't realize that that's pretty heavy. Mm-hmm. So I think the thing that was haunted in my house, because there's a kind spirit too that's in my new place.
Oh, nice.
I think it's because I bought this dresser from the 30s. It's an Art Deco dresser that I do my makeup on. I put my clothes in, and I think that there's a little spirit attached to that.
But
it's kind. Cool. It's a kind one.
I had when I was a teenager, I guess the word is inherited, this 4-poster bed and matching dresser that had a huge mirror on it from my grandmother.
Oh, Lord.
And I felt at such peace when I would sit in front of, I called it my magic mirror. And this was in the 90s, and we didn't have the only screen in the house was the TV in the living room.
Yeah.
And I would sit and listen to CDs and light candles and just stare in the mirror and write in my journal. And I felt at peace with the universe. I felt like it was a portal.
Yeah. Well, I believe in those too.
And I also found out that, I think this is true, that my grandmother got that set from her grandmother. So it had been in my family, and it just felt like this
that's really nice
connection
though.
To the generations. And whether that is something that is a story that I love that made some chemical happen in my brain, or whether there actually was a cognizant presence of my grandmother's spirit and my great-great-grandmother's spirit there with me, doesn't even really matter.
Yeah.
Because I was able to go there and feel that and be benefited and feel like the world was a better place as a
That's
result of
nice.
it.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's what I mean about suspension of disbelief. Like, I know you, Eva. I've known you for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I know that when I go into the Walter Kerr Theater to see Hadestown, I know that's you up there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't keep me from being completely emotionally invested and like gutted by how beautiful the story of Eurydice
Yeah.
is. So I know how to like understand the technical reality of the fact that you're not like a Greek mythological
It's hard for actors
figure.
too, though. Like,
Yeah.
as we do it, it's like, you know, we get completely lost in the art, and then maybe something, you know, it's like a whiff of fresh pepper. It's like, oh my God, like somebody's phone went off. You go get back to it, and you know, that's to me, that's the hardest thing, is to get back to it when something really pisses me off. And I mean, there are a few times where I get really pissed off by things that happen in the audience, because
Yeah.
it's like, how ignorant can you be?
Last night I went to see, I rarely vent, but I'm an event. Last night I went to see To Kill a Mockingbird. And it
Oh.
was my first time seeing it. It's been on Broadway for
Amazing.
almost a year. I never wait that long to see anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a
But-
long time for you.
Yeah, well, they handled press tickets a little bit differently
Okay.
for that show. They didn't invite the full list, which I'm lucky enough to be on this press list for the Broadway League. So I
Yeah.
do get to go see most shows right before the official opening night.
That's cool.
Greatest gift of my life.
Yeah.
But this one I didn't get an invitation to, and just tickets were too expensive.
Yeah.
But I bought one. And I planned it so far in advance, and I sat in the balcony, but I was determined to go. And I don't know if I'd like to think that it is a function of sitting in the balcony where there are people who aren't necessarily like common theater goers,
Yeah.
like people who go all the time and know the drill. But the woman sitting next to me, not only was she 15 minutes late, and she wasn't on the aisle. She like had to get like everybody to stand up in the middle of the show. But then her phone went off 4 times, including after intermission, when she absolutely had the chance to
Turn it off.
And none of the times did she actually like reach for it until it had rung like 4 or 5 times.
Did anyone yell at her?
We all kind of looked at her, but no, nobody yelled at her.
I when I went to go see Tootsie, there was the woman, two women actually in front of me that were, that were on their phones, and they were like trying to take a picture. And I said, "Can you put your phone away, please? It's so rude."
Uh-huh.
And I didn't like look her in the eye, but she heard me, and then she, of course, you know, talked shit to her friend, and I was like, "You talk shit. You're being a butthole."
You're braver than I am, or not braver. I don't know. To me, I thought
It's a learning experience for everybody.
well, you would think
Yeah.
the amount of like eyeball glares that lady got when we all just like had laser beam eyeballs at her.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine she'd do it again.
Yeah, but some people don't even see those. Like, you know, rather than being like, "Hey, can you please turn your phone off?" Because you're literally disturbing everybody in the theater, including the actors.
Yeah, and it was so loud that I'm sure the actors on stage could hear
We
it.
hear everything.
Yeah.
We see the back of the phones. We see the glares. We see you going on your Apple Watch. You know, I don't
Yeah.
have one of those, but, you know, we see it. We heard, like, the fact that, and actually my friend Rob Houchin put a tweet up the other day on Twitter that was like, you know, another phone thing, like, put your phones away. And I almost wanted to tweet this, but I knew I would piss someone off, because I was like, it's almost a generational thing. Like, I feel like the people's phone to do off, or they literally have the balls to take pictures right in the middle of the show, are older. Like, they don't know that it's an unaware thing. It's an aloofness thing. Like, they don't realize that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you're right. I
Like,
I
my
think there's-
grandma would probably do that.
I would give your grandma a pass if it was you, and she
Yeah.
was like, "I'm so proud."
I'd be like, "Lola, put your phone away." That would be me.
I think that there's 2 camps, right?
Yeah.
There are people who genuinely they get excited and they want to commemorate it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't think that somebody's trying to be sly when they pull out an iPad and hold it over their head to take a picture in the middle of the show. I did sit next to someone at Jersey Boys who was texting on an iPad during the...
I mean,
and it was on full brightness, like an iPad. But then I think there's also this class of younger people who know it's wrong and are trying to get away with it. The bootleggers.
Oh, don't get me started on the fucking bootleggers. The bootleggers piss me off. And then when they tag me in like the bootleg clips, they're like, I love when this happens in Hadestown. I'm like, don't tag me in this. It pisses me off. Why are you guys recording the show? It's just not. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to everyone else, because it's an experience that you should experience that live.
I know. And I do really feel for people who like live in rural Australia who will never get to see a Broadway show. And
yeah,
I can imagine, again, like it's sort of a suspension of disbelief thing, I guess, like, or an empathy thing where I'm like, ugh, easy for me to say, just go see it live. You should only be able to see it live.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, there are restaurants in Australia that I'll never get to try. And I don't know that I would want their food smuggled into America just because I felt like I had a right to try it no matter where I was. You know,
I just
it's
don't
not
want
a perfect
to be
comparison.
connected to it. I don't want to see your phone.
Of course.
And
of
I
course.
don't want to be tagged in that crap. I mean, Instagram, I sometimes have to take like day breaks because, man, like the things that you get tagged in are ridiculous. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's a strong choice to tag somebody in a post.
Yeah,
you know?
I've gotten tagged in things that are like literal insults to me.
Yeah, same.
There was somebody who tagged me in a post that was like, somebody just called me the like younger, prettier version of Broadway Girl NYC and tagged me in it. And I was like, I mean, are you trying, what are you trying to accomplish with that? You know?
Stupidity. It's stupidity.
I don't know. I'm not calling anybody stupid. And again, like I'm trying to be empathetic. I am not saying it's okay to ever bootleg a show.
Yeah, I am trying to be, I'm trying to be empathetic. I also
Interrupting you in the course of your work
No,
is different, because that is never okay.
People also openly laugh in the show. Like we've had several times where like an audience member comes like in a couple, and you could tell that either they're one from out of town or two like they came because it was recommended and they really don't want to be there. But like the whole time they're laughing and like, you're on the front row. Hello, we can see you, and I want to do something bad.
And you're not talking about like nervous laughter because of the plots of the show.
No, we're talking about
like
whispering to each other, which we can hear. We can hear it, and then laughing about it, and then they leave before Act 2. And it's like, bye, we didn't want you anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Get them out of here. Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
It happens. You know, it's live theater.
Right.
Because we're the ones on stage having a good time, and if you're not going to be those audience members that's connected with us, then that's your loss.
I know. And meanweven, there are people like in the last row of the balcony straining to like
Exactly.
live for every beat of sweat on your forehead.
I know.
Even though I am often, and like I'm so grateful for it, I am often in those front rows. I sort of wish that at some point some show would be like, everybody's switching seats. You're going to go, the people in the back row are going to be in the front row.
That's a good idea.
And it's just going to be a direct switch so you can get the other perspective. And I sort of feel like I would gladly sit in the balcony on one of my orchestra days to give every single person in the balcony
That's
the
really
opportunity
cool.
to sit in the orchestra.
Yeah, because it really would change your perspective of the show.
You would get a lot of angry people who
yeah.
spent hundreds of dollars on tickets.
I get that, though.
But, you know, anything can happen. Like, so many cultural changes around the Broadway industry are happening with slave play.
Oh my God, I saw it.
Have you followed any of this? Like, not only, okay, so first of all, there's the cell phone thing where Rihanna went to see slave play and she texted the playwright during the show and he texted her back. And his theory is if you're not making art that will keep people out of their phones, then let them use their phones. And that you should just create something more compelling. And he's not interested in telling anybody to put their phones away at his show, which I think is his right as a playwright.
Yeah.
But then also he has a show, it either just happened or it's coming up, where it's going to be an entirely black audience. Because somebody who saw it downtown was like, I want to see this show again. where the entire theater is looking at it through a black lens.
Oh God. Yeah.
And so he like arranged it. And I have no
amazing.
idea how he did that or how you like screen for it at the door. I'm sure there are going to be people who claim they're being discriminated against and
Yeah.
but like it's a cultural experiment for him and
That's amazing.
the audience of his play. So I feel like if they could do that, why couldn't you just switch everybody's tickets?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's amazing. I do feel like sometimes when I look out into the theater at the end, like during Raise My Cup in Hadestown, I'm not going to lie, it does make me a little sad that as much as I know that the show is diverse that we're doing, it would be nice to see that reflected into the audience.
Yeah.
It kind of breaks my heart sometimes because it's like,
So many
You know.
old white people.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
yeah, it's really, you know, I'm grateful that they're coming to experience the show, but I wish it was broader.
Yeah. Well, there are, I think not quickly enough, but there are increasingly efforts to get audiences into theaters. That the EduHam process
Yeah.
that brings kids from schools all over the New York City
We
area
love it when schools come.
to
Oh my God,
to
we
see
love it.
Hamilton and I think it's great that you as a performer are using your voice to say that because people will listen to you, and if you there are organizations that I'm sure would love to partner with you on
Yeah.
helping make that happen.
Yeah.
So, and I'm there with you. So
Cool.
let's get more schools to Hadestown.
Yeah, come to Hadestown.
Okay. Hadestown.
Hadestown.
Eurydice feels very familiar to me. And I don't mean that because I studied the Greek myth of Orpheus and Eurydice when I was in school. I think she reminds me a lot of me. And I think she reminds me a lot of you.
Yeah.
Do you feel at home in her in a way that you didn't with Kim in Miss
Oh,
Saigon?
hell yeah. I mean, Kim felt at home to me for maybe 5 months because I was truly 17 and new here today. But I learned so much in that time frame of doing Miss Saigon abroad that I quickly lost my naivety. I quickly lost my innocence of knowing the world. And then it became more of a chore or a task to dig deep into the pureness of Kim in scene 1, act 1. So for me, Eurydice was very difficult to, draw up from the ground up, because, we were originating these completely different roles than what had been done before.
Even though the show had been done before.
Yeah.
It is so different. I feel like the soul is the same, but the bones are different.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, even just listening to the different recordings of it,
Yeah.
you can feel the characters have different DNA.
Yeah. It's crazy, and I'm very grateful that Rachel and Aeneas gave us the okay, the green light to kind of workshop whatever we needed to see how it would work best for us.
So generous.
Because my Eurydice her characteristics only got more poignant from London to New York. Other characters didn't really change. Reeves' character changed the most. I mean, his character was a complete 180-degree switch. It
I
was
remember
crazy.
seeing Hadestown at New York Theater Workshop, and Orpheus, who oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the guy's name.
Damon?
Yeah, who is now in Oklahoma starring as Curly, and he had this sort of swagger.
Yeah.
He was kind of he reminded me of a dreamy singer-songwriter, which, I mean, obviously Reeve is in real life, but he was
Totally.
he sort of was I know I'm the shit kind of.
Yeah, it was even more so in London. I said he was a total fuckboy.
Oh, really? So Reeve's characters, I thought you meant the change between Damon and Reeve
No,
was
I meant
significant.
the switch between
Between Reeve and
Reeves
London.
Orpheus in London and Reeves Orpheus in New York.
So he was, oh, wow.
It couldn't have been more different.
Because here, I didn't see it in London, but here he feels awkward and shy.
It breaks my heart. I love it. It's so brilliant, and the way that he is a genius. We don't have enough time for me to compliment him.
Orpheus or Reeve?
Reeve, there would
Yeah.
be no Orpheus now without Reeve Carney.
I feel like Orpheus is maybe on the spectrum a little bit.
Well, they put that in there, you know, saying he was touched by the gods. Like they kept kind of like adding like he's touched, and we're like, what does that mean? Well, he's touched. And it's like, okay. In London, he wore like black skinny jeans, and like his first line was "Come home with me," like total fuckboy.
Yeah.
Like Eurydice would be like, absolutely not. Get out of here. Tinder
Except
date.
she didn't.
Except she didn't. Silly girl.
Maybe Eva wouldn't have said that.
I would have been like, get the hell out of here. But then Eurydice was like, maybe.
Was he wearing black eyeliner in the London production?
Oh, hell no.
Because I picture that skinny jean, like, I know you're going to want to come home with me guy as like wearing a little bit of, just like a rock and roll.
It was like, I remember it was like lean back like on one leg, guitar swoop behind his back, like black skinny jeans, like wavy shirt. Like, it was like, come home with me. Now it's like, holding up this little flower that he made. It's like, come on. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's a flower he made from ripping a piece of like notebook paper.
It breaks my heart every time.
Yeah.
It does. It really does. It's so sweet.
So I heard him say that he tries to act as little as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think what a rare and beautiful experience to have a character that you feel like you can just exist in. And I get that same feeling from you in this role.
I do the same.
That, like I said in the intro, so many of the adjectives I used to describe Eurydice, I'd also describe you with. And I recognize you there.
Yeah, she really hits close to home, and she as well as the show have taught me more than I ever thought a show could teach somebody.
Can you put into words what those lessons are?
Love, self-love, I always preach about it, about other people trying to do the same, like love themselves. But, it's hard to do when life is kind of throwing curveballs at you. And you're just growing, like, growing up and getting older and getting wiser, you take on more.
Yeah.
So
you tweeted, one of your most recent tweets was, for those who have a lot of love to give some to your damn self every once in a while, and maybe you'll start feeling a little more free from the insecurities in your relationship.
Yeah.
500 retweets, 2,500 likes. This really struck a chord.
Yeah. I love doing things like that. I find that there's so much bullshit on social media right now. I hate, can I just say, like,
Say it.
This is really bad because, and I'm in no way like putting this out to anybody who said this to me. I really don't understand the whole calling yourself like an influencer. Mm-hmm. I don't like, because it's like, if I know, everyone's an influencer. If I bump into somebody on the street and he's wearing a chef hat and he's like, oh, sorry about that, pretty lady, you have a good day. He could be an influencer. Mm-hmm. But, just because he doesn't have thousands of followers on Instagram, like, that bothers me a lot. That's why I like putting tweets like that up, because I want to remind myself and everyone that, like, this is a world where you can easily lose yourself in fakeness and pretending to be somebody you're not. And you could get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Why waste your time?
I think about this a lot because I am often on lists of influencers.
Yeah.
And I've gotten put, like, it's hard not to feel a blast of joy when CBS calls me, Broadway's most influential fan.
But I find that, like, that in an adjective, like, that's like,
influential.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That to me is different than saying I am an influencer.
Like, that's my identity or my job title. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
People ask me, like, how do I become an influencer? Oh. And I have the same response every time. I say, well, what kind of influence do you want to have on the world? And they go, without fail, they go, I want to get, like, paid to put pictures on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, that, like, there are people who do that.
Oh.
But influence is like,
influence is respect.
It's a nuclear powered. It is a power, mm-hmm. and it is dangerous. And
yes.
If you are not handling it, it's like with it can be used for good or it can be used for evil.
Absolutely.
And and you don't like get to just say I want influence, because it's like the inertia behind the thing. You have to decide what the thing is. What is your how do you want to influence the world? And like, I have the benefit of being, even though I'm in this like super millennial social media world, the fact is I'm a child of the 80s. I was technically born in the 70s. I'm 40 years old. I've gotten past a lot of the, like, I just want to be famous because it'll make me feel like I'm a valuable human being. It'll increase my feelings of self-worth that I had when I was in my 20s. And I think a lot of that is brain chemistry and like frontal lobe development. And I know that it's not just about life experience. Some of it is actually about the way the human body is made.
I agree.
But, and I'm just like a lot more secure in who I am as a human being. But if you're not using if you're not using whatever voice you have to make the world a better place, then like start there. And whether the influence you have is over your little sister or your classmates or the person that you accidentally bump into in the street, or the people who follow you on social media because they're attracted to what you stand for, then you will be way ahead of the curve. That's what influence should be.
That's what influence is.
Right.
I'm just confused as to when we started becoming an, influential culture of being like, look at my outfit. And I understand it's some people's jobs, but when you're walking around, saying that like,
well, there's a difference between like, I really like her style and I'm interested in like following her lead, and people who don't have a style because they'll just wear whatever they're paid for.
Yeah.
And I think, I guess full disclosure, I do sometimes get paid to promote things on my social media.
Absolutely.
But it's because that is my job.
That's
like,
your job though, Laura.
It is, but I will only accept money for things that I believe in already.
Yeah.
Like I just finished this partnership with Today Ticks. I love Today Ticks. I use them anyway. And, and they were like, I tweet about them when they're not paying me.
Yeah.
But in this case, they wanted me to post about a specific time-sensitive like campaign they were doing, and they wanted me to use certain wording at certain times, and I had creative control and ultimate say over what the actual content was, but the hashtags and the links and everything, there is a professional relationship there.
Yeah.
But if a company that I wasn't already so closely connected to emotionally, that I didn't truly believe in, had approached me, I just would say no. It wouldn't matter what the money was. And I think that it's a fine line. And there are people who probably think that you lose credibility when you accept money from anybody.
Yeah. Underlined for me is like, if you want to, make sure that you can influence yourself first. I mean, for Pete's sake, it's like a rocket taking off and like all these like strings are attached to it. And you're like, I feel safe. I know myself so much that I'm going to hold on to this little string that could easily break on this massive rocket. But I'm going to follow it because, it's what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like your safety. Find out who the hell you are first and start from the ground up. That's what bothers. Because most of these people, I meet them and I'm like, God, you have no idea who you are. I wouldn't want to be like that.
It's a tough era in which to live.
It's a tough era in which to grow up in. And
I am so thankful that social media didn't exist until after I was done with college.
Jeez, yeah.
We had our own issues, like my generation, the, bullying, and it's always been there.
Yep.
But I can't imagine, not only can I not imagine being a child growing up with social media and the internet, I can't imagine raising a child.
You learn too much too quickly, and then your brain explodes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you think you know everything, and then life really hits you hard.
I had Telly Leung here a couple of weeks ago, who's exactly my age. We were born in the same year, and we called. It just came out in conversation, but we were like, "That's a new term." We called ourselves the Magic Generation, where we know we are extremely savvy and like native speakers of computer culture and social media. And we know how to use it. It's not like our grandparents who have to be like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Thing. But also our childhoods were blissfully free of it. And I really believe that our brains, the people who were born between, say, like 1978 and 1983, our brains are going to be studied 100 years from now as the example of how brain development, which basically goes until you're 25, changes as a result of screen time and social media. To me, what infuriates me, and I think the same way that like bootlegging or phone calls during your shows or the disrespect of your craft.
Yeah.
The thing that that infuriates me, oh my gosh, my brain I just went into a complete.
What makes you mad
I
about
know.
your job? People saying
Influence. Jeez. So this show doesn't get edited. It goes out live. And so this is the kind of thing that I definitely would edit if I was doing a regular podcast. Totally lost my train of thought.
You're human.
It'll come back to me. Okay, we were talking about influencers. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Oh, thank you for your patience, Eva, and
you could do
everyone
it.
listening. It's about how I hear about companies like Facebook that were designed to initially, or they claim to be designed to connect people, and how they now have whole departments that are just dedicated to the addictive nature of it. Facebook
scary.
at some point, and this is third hand, I like heard it in a podcast or read it on a blog or something, but said like their two main competitors are YouTube and sleep. And they literally want to keep people from sleeping because they make more money when they have more of your attention for more time. And
thank God I don't have the app anymore.
Exactly. I mean, they are literally it is exactly the same as how cigarette companies genetically modified tobacco to be more addictive because it would sell more product.
Yeah.
Facebook,
sugar,
and like
wow, that's sad.
I'm, as you may have guessed from the things that I've said in the last few minutes, I'm really interested in evolutionary biology and brain chemistry, and the way that sort of the things that we do now are actually holdovers from caveman days in a lot of ways. And, we survive by something like a dopamine rush when something good happens is an evolutionary trait that, like, when you see, like a patch of berries, you get like
excited,
a rush.
Yeah.
And that tells you that's a good thing, and you eat those berries and you're nourished and you survive. And if you just looked at a patch of berries and didn't differentiate it from anything else, then maybe you wouldn't eat them and you would die. That's a way oversimplification. And of course, I'm not a scientist, but like, take a game like Candy Crush, which I literally had to go cold turkey on and went through legitimate withdrawal symptoms. It's designed
Is that the one that I don't use my phone for fun things.
Good. Then you are way ahead of the game. It like has flashing lights and bright colors, and it's designed so that you get rewarded with points or flashing lights or other like, it's not like it's paying you money, but it makes
sensory joy.
It is to actual joy as like a watermelon flavored candy is to a slice of watermelon. They have the same name, but one is a completely artificial experience and the other is like real and analog and like multi-sensory.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I think, especially as somebody who, as my job, spends all my time on social media.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know how you do it.
I am conflicted about it because I like to think that if I wasn't so entrenched in this world professionally that I just give it all up. But I wouldn't have a livelihood if I stopped using Twitter.
No, especially not like you know.
And I do work really hard to use it for good. But I do find myself reaching for my phone first thing when I wake up. And I go,
Yeah.
is this really do
Yeah.
I really need to know what
I
happened
do that as well.
overnight? It's one thing for me to like reach for my phone to listen to like NPR's morning briefing and find out what happened in the world overnight.
Yeah.
But do I really need to see who is like, drinking on the beach?
No, I had
In
to
the hours
unfollow
which I was
a
asleep?
bunch of like my psychotherapist in London was like, the reason I was going in, he was like, you need to unfollow all of these people, and he gave me a list, like models, people that you don't really know that you're just following because of their bodies, swimsuit companies, like lingerie, because I love like Agent Provocateur and Coco de Mer and like Stella, but he's like, all those you have to follow, you need to unfollow them.
Wow.
And I found that like my Facebook, my Instagram, to me, it's like I got bored, which was nice.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't really care.
Right.
And I also don't want to see, the whole point of me going into therapy was to talk about my body dysmorphia and, bulimia. And so I was like, why am I defeating myself more poison?
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
I've never heard you talk about that before.
Oh, I talk about it all the time.
You do? Okay.
All the time. Like, strangers know. No one in this industry talks about mental health, and it really just drives me nuts because, like, as a student at one point, student of life, but student in high school, looking up to all these, like, Broadway stars, and, like, I was like, am I the only one that feels crazy? Like, how are they all doing this and doing it so well without any scars? Because no one talked about it in interviews and in clips online and whatever. And then I finally get here and I'm like, this is hard. Mm-hmm. I'm very successful for my age. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful to the universe and to people around me. But I have a lot of scars from this industry. Many self-afflicted, but many from just how poisonous it can be. And no one talks about the repercussions or like how to live knowing that. And you're human. You know what I mean?
I said this in the last time I interviewed you 2 years ago in a very different context, but like, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
And I think last time it was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you sort of feel like a little sister kind of, and like you're making your Broadway debut in this big role. And like, I just want to like celebrate you. And this feels very different because now I feel like, even though obviously our age difference is still the same, you are so much more of an adult than you were back then.
Yeah.
And now when I say I'm proud of you, it is from the point of view of somebody else who is really starting to speak out about my own mental health. For me, it was that I suffered crippling, debilitating depression and still do, but that I have been in therapy now for 25 years.
That's amazing.
I have been taking medication for most of those 25 years. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, and that I still carry my depression with me. And it used to be that I was defined by that depression, that it was all I knew of myself. And now I think of depression as my passenger. And she's with me. And, if you use a metaphor of a car, she sometimes like leans over and tries to grab the wheel. And for a second we struggle, or sometimes for a week we struggle. But I know just from sheer practice that I can get the wheel back, and ultimately I'm the only one who's allowed to drive, and I know how to shut her out, even though she's always going to be there.
Yeah.
I've gotten very good at like, she's there, but she's not me.
That's an amazing level of self-awareness that like it took me years too to also tough love, because I always joke that I have like this angel devil on my shoulders, and they help me get out of tough situations or into them. But they also work really well together. There are times too, like not recently, but there have been many, many, many times when it was very bad where I just couldn't leave the house unless it was for work. I just would sit and cry and then cry because I'm like, why am I wasting my life doing this? I know who I am. I'm Eva. Why am I wasting my time like crying about not having the perfect body? Like, it's ridiculous. And I wouldn't leave the house. And then finally, I don't know when this tough love entered the room, but she was like, I've been here the whole damn time. You just won't listen to me. Get off the floor and take a shower and go take a damn walk. And then now it's like, that's the first person that talks,
Yeah. Oh.
It's true. 'Cause it's like I said before, I know this is really bad, but I could get hit by a car. So why, like, as soon as I walk out of this building, like
Well, that's the kind of thought that will make you not want to leave the house.
I kind of do though. I love seeking thrill, but I don't want to get hit by a car. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I
know what you mean,
I
though.
seek thrill out of going like, you know what? Yeah. And this is the Tonys the Tonys this year was a perfect example because I hate awards. I do. I hate them. I think that they're silly. I think that the last time I earned an award and felt gratification was in kindergarten when they're like, yay, Eva, you didn't hit someone this week. Here's, have a lollipop or, that kind of thing. Especially this year, it was really tough. This year was very tough for me because I was going through a lot of things in my life personally. And then having to take the time out of our schedule while we're opening a new show to go to events when I don't know these people and there's alcohol there. So I'm going to drink and be quiet and sit there and wait for it to be over because I hate the events. I don't. And it took actually somebody very close to me to say, everybody can be a teacher if you let them be. Things can be teachers to you if you let them be. And I wish I had gone through that Tony season with that grace, but a lot of things infuriated me. Like the people I would meet, like the conversations were just, some of them were just so bland and shallow. And it's like, how has your life changed? Like how has Eva changed now that she's been nominated for 2 Tonys? And I'm like, I'm still me. Why are you asking these questions to me? I'm not going to find self-worth in getting, it was just crazy. I was very conflicted this season about how to approach it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dolling up, and I knew deep down that's like not what I really stood for. But as long as the show got the attention and the show got the recognition, it's the only thing that I cared about.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I cared about.
I think that it's so dangerous when people ask questions wanting certain answers.
Oh my God, it's so obvious. It's painfully obvious what they're trying to.
When people say, how has your life changed since you've won 2 Tonys? What they don't want to hear is, it makes me feel a lot of pressure. And it makes me scared that I'll never live up to where, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but what they want to hear is, okay, you know what? I'm going to change the perspective of this anecdote because I'm going to make it about me. I don't know what it's like to be nominated for 2 Tonys, and I feel like I don't want to be any more famous than I am right now in this moment, where like I have my theater fan following, and there are people who really love my interviews, and I get recognized on the street maybe once a week by somebody who usually walks up and says their name. Hi, I'm Emily.
Yeah.
I loved your interview with Eva Noblezada. Thank you for bringing joy into the world. Well, who doesn't want to hear that? Once a week.
Yeah.
Right? I don't ever want to get mobbed. I don't ever want to get, not be able to leave my house.
No, that's too much, man.
Recognition is great, but even then, people say to me something like, oh my gosh, it must be so amazing to go to the theater 5 times a week and be friends with Broadway stars. Like, wow. Isn't your life amazing? And they don't want to hear, and yeah, the answer is yes, my life is amazing. But they don't want to hear, I'm tired, and some nights I just can't go out into the world, and work always feels like work after a certain amount of time. And I remember actually dealing with this or hearing about this from friends who were in Hamilton when it had first launched.
Oh,
and
boy.
they'd be like, what is it like to, people would be like, what is it like to be in Hamilton? And they'd be like, and those people either wanted to hear, it's amazing, it's the greatest thing in my life, or they want to hear here's the famous person who came and saw the show. And they would be disappointed if the actor said, it's hard work, my body hurts, and I don't have any privacy, and I miss my family, and sometimes I just need a break.
But that's what it is.
Of course. But you either give the right answer, or you give the honest answer and you disappoint them, or you give the answer you know they want to hear.
Oh, man, I'm so bad at that, Laura. I really am. I don't ever give an answer that I know they want to hear, and it's not because I'm trying to be rebellious or trying to be an asshole. It's just my nature. I always say, people who have 2 faces scare me because it's it takes too much energy. I don't have enough energy anyway sometimes for my day because my brain works so crazy, and I love to be with people that I love, and I love to do my job and exhaust my body and brain. I love that feeling of doing. I did 2 shows today. Oh my God, it was so hard, but I feel so incredible. It's raw.
do you have time or energy for socializing?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm a hermit. Sometimes, like, when I was trying to conserve my voice, I didn't speak to anybody. Literally, probably just 2 people. Didn't leave the house, didn't go out, just went to work, went back home. Now it's like I'm finally able to see friends. I can't live without my friends, my family. I can't live without them. But I would give those answers like at the Tonys, like, you're here, and like, who are you wearing? And I'm like, I don't know, it's vintage. And it's like, how, like, you must be like, over the moon, like you got so many. And I was like, yeah, I am grateful. Like, you're missing the point. I'm so grateful to be here. I cannot believe I'm here for the second time. It's ridiculous. It's redonkulous, really. But I am tired. I'm coming here, and I don't want to get, and I don't want you to be annoyed, but we just did a 3-hour rehearsal. I have to run. I ran here, to do this event, and now I have to go back to do more. And then we have a show like, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm. I think people imagine that it's like Cinderella at the ball.
It's
where,
not.
Right, it's work.
It's work. We love our jobs, but what I don't like doing is talking to people who think that. Here's what I'm just gonna say: I don't kiss anybody's ass. I don't. I'm not gonna kiss somebody's ass, or an organization's ass. Like, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. I think it's a waste. Not a waste, but I think it's. It's not who I am. It's not what I stand for. Like, my art is my art. I don't do my job to further my ego, which can sit down sometimes, let me tell you. But I don't do it for that. And I don't do it to have conversations with people who I've met 10 times and they say, you must be, it's so nice to meet you. You're the most successful 20-year-old I've ever met. And I'm like, well, you got one thing right. It's like, when I meet people, like, every interaction takes energy, and like in relationships, it's a give and take and compromise. I want to have an interaction with somebody that's healthy and positive and meaningful. So when it's going to events where I'm having to wear like an itchy dress and blister my heels, and I'm tired, my voice is tired, and the only thing there that I know of is the corner sometimes. Or like making inappropriate jokes. I do that a lot because I get uncomfortable. A lot. Especially to the interviewers. And I felt really bad on that press day because it was like, I'm trying to give you like good answers, but like the first thing that comes out of my mouth is the honest one. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's just what's going to come out.
I think that's great, because perfect answers, like quotable answers, are lovely when they're out of context. But in context, or all I care about right now is authenticity. And I would so much rather see somebody's rough around the edges,
Thank God for you.
Or even like straight up ugly realness, than somebody who is doing the emotional version of plastic surgery.
Oh my God.
Don't try to tell me this is the real natural you, even if it's perfect. And this is actually one of the reasons that I do this radio show live. People have been asking me for 5 years, like ever since people knew that Laura Haywood was Broadway Girl, they're like, why aren't you doing a podcast? And I said, I'm waiting for the right partner.
Yeah.
And that included having an opportunity to do it live, even if people listen to it as a podcast after the fact. It's possible to listen to it live as it happens. Mm-hmm. And that means me forgetting my train of thought, stumbling, pressing the wrong sound effect, like, sometimes I've even forgotten to hit the record button. So
authenticity.
Yeah. And like, there are so many people out there who go like, your life is amazing. Your life is perfect. Like, dream life. I wish I had your life. And I used to be like, yeah, it's amazing. And increasingly, and basically now exclusively, I say, be careful what you wish for.
Look, empaths feel a lot. I feel like all of my experiences, and I'm saying this like to try to paint a very like vivid picture for listeners, because you're not looking at anything, but I feel like when I go through situations, it's like a true, almost like an acid trip nightmare sometimes. Mm-hmm. If it takes over my body, then it's like I feel everything.
Me too.
That's why like the Tonys were the Tonys are too much for me. The first time around, they were too much for me. I was overwhelmed. The second time, they were too much for me, and I remember being and I still am, but I was genuinely heartbroken when it was like the Meet the Nominees the day after the nominations came out or whatever, and somebody was like, who do you wish was here with you right now? And I was like, Reeve Carney, because he should have been. Yeah. Like that's my co-star, and that's like it's like my best friend, you know. Like, why is he not here? Yeah. To know that he put in so much work. We all put in so much work on this show that we love, and our leading man
didn't get recognized.
I remember at the Tony rehearsal, like, which was, you know, he performed. One of the Tony people were like, "Can we get all the leads who are nominated?" And Andre DeShields goes, "Where's Reeve Carney?" Yeah. I thought that was awesome because it was like everyone knew and everyone had like a handout, but I felt bad because it was like my experience of the Tonys was mimicking what happened in 2017. Like I was going, you know, my bulimia was at a high then, man, really? To fit into that damn dress and to feel whatever. And looking back, it's just like, oh God, I wasted so much time doing that to myself. But I you know, I sometimes wish, you know, Eva always grew up wishing she was a quiet librarian girl next door who she's all that, has the makeover and whatever. She's graceful and says what she's supposed to say. And everyone's like, she's so sweet. But I'm not.
Well, you are sweet. But you're not only sweet.
No.
And I don't say you're sweet because I'm trying to put you into a box. I'm saying you're sweet because I can see into your soul.
You can put me into a box of sweets.
That sounds good. I really think this is one of the most real and the most important interviews I've ever done.
Laura.
We are not we're not here to just rain glitter on you, you know? This is what real human beings are really
not
like.
Not with that coffee. I haven't had coffee yet.
We'll get coffee, sweets, and glitter, but with a healthy dose of authenticity.
That's my next book title. Thank you.
You're welcome. I will write the foreword.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Eva, so much for being on Laura Haywood Interviews.
My pleasure.
I love you.
Love ya.